Welcome everybody to another edition of Sports Clash Radio with your host Chad Martin, JC Martin. We're talking NFL football. It's week 8. Live. I mean, this season has already started out totally different than anybody probably ever expected it to.
Absolutely.
And it's hard to believe we're already 8 weeks into the season.
Right.
I mean, it just seemed like just yesterday we were talking about, man, I can't wait for the season to start. And what we really never expected to be talking about was Carson Wentz and Dak Prescott going head-to-head on Sunday Night Football.
In a meaningful game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Outside of just division rankings, I mean, these are two of the best offenses in the NFL right now.
They really are, and they're just, man, you know, we've seen Carson Wentz had a rough weekend last weekend, but we're going against one of the best defenses in football.
Hey, and they still managed to win.
Yeah, they did, and that was great. He didn't seem rattled.
Which I did say last week, if anyone was going to beat the Vikings, those Eagles had a good chance to do it, and they went out there and did it.
They certainly did. So they looked really good. So I'm excited about this matchup on Sunday night. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's really weird because when you look at Dak when he was drafted in, he's projected several years down the road to start. If he was going to be a starter at all, they figured, well, and this is most experts figure that he was going to have all this time to learn and try to learn how to play pro style, but he's looked so solid. And then same thing with Carson Wentz. I mean, you draft a quarterback in the first round, especially high, you expect him to be able to come in and do things.
Second overall.
But still, I don't think they had any expectations of this is how he was going to be and play and ball out like he's doing right now, especially coming from, North Dakota State?
Right.
Is that where he came from?
He came from the FCS division of football.
There you go.
No, and the weird thing is, I was reading an article yesterday, and they were talking about how one expert felt there were 4 quarterbacks in this draft class that could actually come in and play right off the bat and make an impact.
Absolutely.
And he got 3 of the 4 right.
He did.
He had Jared Goff, who went number 1, which he's a third stringer, riding the bench for the Rams, who are in disarray. And
they're just not willing to roll him out there.
Right, and they need to make a move of some kind if they're going to try to actually compete for this division title. And then you got Carson Wentz, number 2 overall, making a splash. Cody Kessler that the Browns took in the third round.
Who was not playing bad.
And I don't think anyone really expected him. No one expected him to be out there.
Exactly.
I mean, I guess maybe if you're a Cleveland fan, you probably expected it at some point because
everybody gets killed on that
always
quarterback hell.
And which is insane considering they have one of the best left tackles to ever play the game, Joe Thomas.
Problem is you got those other guys.
Right, this other 4 guys on the offensive line that are weighing you down. But you had Cody Kessler, who was drafted in the 3rd round to the Browns, and then Dak Prescott, who was drafted to the Cowboys in the 4th round. And this, and the gentleman who wrote the article told that one particular expert that he doesn't see it. The only ones he saw was Jared Goff and Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
It's like those are the only 2 rookie quarterbacks in this class that would make an impact as a rookie.
That's right.
And now you've got 3 guys that are actually competing. One of them not named Jared Goff.
Yeah, exactly.
Or all 3 of them not named Jared Goff, rather.
Which has been made this season so interesting to watch and seeing how it's going to play. I mean, Dak, with the way he's played, now there's a quarterback controversy in Dallas where at the beginning of the season it's something that wasn't even on the radar saying, we got to, this is Romo's team and Romo's going to be there. And if you'll check out, we did a whole episode where it was Prescott or Romo and all that good stuff. Romo's out on the field playing today, practicing today. Throwing the ball is what he's doing, and throwing to receivers and doing the one-on-one drill. So,
and if I'm not mistaken, I believe Dak Prescott's actually leading all quarterbacks in QBR right now,
which is amazing. Amazing. A guy that you didn't expect, and
not Tom Brady. Well, granted, he didn't play the first 4 games, but not Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Not Aaron Rodgers. Not Ben Roethlisberger. Rookie Dak Prescott from Mississippi State.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a bit about some of these quarterbacks here when we get to our fantasy section of this thing this week. So, and let's talk about Tom Brady. Yeah, Bills versus Patriots. Any Rex Ryan team is going to have bad blood with anything New England and Bill Belichick related. I mean,
of course,
he's just a very demonstrative person anyway. He's just one of those guys that's all hellfire and brimstone, and Rex Ryan is probably certifiable, I would think. He's one.
He's famous for his statements like, we're not going to, kiss the rings and all that.
Right.
But at the end of the day, Rex, you've beaten this guy maybe a couple 3 times, and since you've been a head coach. One of those times this year without Tom Brady.
Exactly.
Guess what, buddy? Tom Brady's back this week.
Yeah, but I thought it was interesting. Their defensive backs came out today and were saying, if those guys run through our side of the field during warm-ups, we're going to retaliate.
Well, you can say that all you want, because once that game starts, Tom Brady's going to torch you.
He is.
You got torched by by Ryan Fitzpatrick back in week 2. So if Ryan Fitzpatrick can torch you, what do you think Tom Brady's going to do to you?
Oh, it's going to be ugly.
Probably a little premature to be bumping those gums.
I think so too. I mean, talking smack against Brissett, is one thing. A third string quarterback coming in to do something. Talking smack to a Tom Brady-led team, that's a whole different monster. If you don't think Bill Belichick is not game planning the living hell out of this game, you're sadly mistaken. It's just, why would you want to give those guys any more ammunition than they probably already have?
And one of the big things that most teams want out of their quarterback is a leader. If it's the most important position on the team, your job is to move the offense up and down the field.
Yep.
Everyone has to buy into you as a leader. And everyone, that's the knock on Jay Cutler. He's not a leader. He's not a vocal guy. He's not a rah-rah guy. He doesn't get guys fired up. He just goes out there and plays a game of football. Tom Brady is that rah-rah guy.
Yep.
Tom Brady does get fired up. He gets in guys' faces. He yells at them. He screams. He throws tantrums on the sidelines, but within reason.
Yeah,
he doesn't have meltdowns.
No.
He does it to get other people fired up, to get himself fired up. There's a reason the man has played in 6 Super Bowls and has 4 championship rings.
And that's when people hate on Tom Brady, it's one of the things that, this is why I like Tom Brady, because first of all, he loves the game of football. He is a competitor. He wants to win.
Right.
How do you not like watching guys who want to go out there and win? He's not a diva. He just wants to get his team fired up, and he believes that he should win every game. And if you don't have that mentality, why are you playing?
Right.
I mean, that's always been my thing. For people who want to hate on Tom Brady, and look, I don't cheer for the New England Patriots. I don't. I'm not a Patriots fan or anything. But do I like Tom Brady? Oh, yeah, he's a master back there, and what he does and how he plays the game, I have nothing but respect and admiration for that. So, and now, the only good thing Buffalo probably has going for them this week is that they're playing in Buffalo. At the end of the day, I'm not really sure how much that's going to matter after all this talk.
It does. I mean, Buffalo beat New England in New England, and, of course, without Tom Brady. But if you don't think these Patriots are going to be ready to go out there and light these Buffalo Bills up and hit them straight in the mouth over and over and over again, then those people have another thing going.
Exactly. So let's talk a little fantasy football real quick. We're just going to talk about the running backs, quarterbacks, and wide receivers, your money positions, really. I guess you can say I was going to include tight ends, but, you figure Gronk's going to be number 1 on any list going into that. But these right here, let's talk the top 4 running backs now. These top 4 running backs are not my top list. It's the one I pulled out from the consensus of people saying who's going to be on your top fantasy teams this week. And running backs, they got David Johnson, number 1, Ezekiel Elliott, number 2, DeMarco Murray, number 3, and Spencer Ware, number 4.
I agree.
I don't really have a problem with the way that was set up on there, to be honest with you. So if you have any of these running backs, especially this weekend, you can probably look to put up some double-digit points easy, I think.
Right. I mean, I have DeMarco Murray in one league, and he is by far the highest scoring player. Consistently highest scoring player. Of course, I play a PPR league, a points per reception league. I think DeMarco Murray has maybe gotten me less than 20 points one time this season, maybe.
Yeah, when I do draft...
And even then, it was still like 17, 18 points.
Well, on my DraftKings teams, I always include DeMarco Murray because I know he's going to put up some pretty high points for me. He's going to get me points that I need.
He may not have 100 yards, but he's going to have, X amount of he might have 80 yards rushing, but he'll have 4 or 5 catches. He'll probably have 30 to 40 yards receiving. And either a touchdown with, in the passing game or a touchdown on the ground.
Yeah, he's getting you points. So DeMarco Murray, if you don't have him, and you can trade for him, I'd say get somebody like DeMarco.
You might have to give up your entire team this year to do it.
Probably so. But your top 4 quarterbacks, you've got number 1 they've listed was Aaron Rodgers.
So these are based off of matchups.
That's right.
Not overall season performance.
No. These are all matchup based.
For this week.
Because you've got Aaron Rodgers, and they are taking on
a bad Atlanta Falcons defense.
A very bad Atlanta Falcons defense, which is why I think they're giving him the benefit of the doubt to be the highest scoring quarterback. But, Then you got Matt Ryan coming in second.
Taking on a bad Packers defense.
Which, I'm kind of surprised. What they're really saying is...
The secondaries. It's the secondaries
that's right. It's
that
the
are
secondaries.
weak.
So, and they're saying Green Bay's secondary is just less weak than the Atlanta Falcons secondary. Right. You got Tom Brady, and because they're taking on a very tight Bills defense who will smash you in the mouth.
And the Bills actually have a really solid secondary.
Yes, they do.
But it's not like we haven't seen the secondary exposed before.
That's right.
Like I said earlier, we saw him exposed by Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's played horribly this season, but he burned them.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Brady doesn't have to stretch the field deep against this Bills team. He can dink and dunk all day and make it work.
Exactly, and that's kind of the way the Patriots play football anyway.
Right.
They eat you with the short stuff.
They
use their tight ends like crazy. I mean, really the same kind of ball that Dallas runs a lot of.
Right, but they use their short passing game as their rushing game.
Exactly.
Unless they can get LeGarrette Blount going, and then he'll just run over you.
But the way that they're using LeGarrette Blount these days is perfect because he's going to get his space to run in because of the way they pass that football and play their offensive football. So, and Andrew Luck is number 4. They're playing Kansas City.
Which, a couple years ago you wouldn't have thought that this was a good matchup for Luck. Not because Luck's a bad quarterback, but because that secondary was so stout, and they have just been underwhelming this year.
They have, but what weapons is what Andrew Luck tried out there this week? Now,
T.Y. Hilton.
I know T.Y.
A banged up Dante Moncrief might come back.
I'm waiting to see if they're actually going to put him in. I know he's questionable right now as of today when I looked, because I've got him on my team. But
because they expected him to be out 4 to 6 weeks. This is week 6.
Yeah.
So odds are that he's come back from this injury slowly, but he'll probably get some snaps.
It might be limited.
I would expect Philip Dorsett to be the number 2 wide receiver this week.
I kind of think so too. And speaking of wide receivers, number 1 is Julio Jones.
Now, the league that I have DeMarco Murray in, I also have Julio Jones.
Oh, so you're smoking that one.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
beating the brakes off the competition.
Mike Evans, A.J. Green, and then T.Y. Hilton, number 4.
Which, A.J. Green, I love A.J. Green because he is that wide receiver that you never hear about, but he's elite. He consistently puts up 1,000-yard seasons every year, and no one talks about the guy.
Yeah, he's just such a quiet guy.
And he caught that beautiful Hail Mary at halftime last week.
That was gorgeous.
Granted, the quality of competition wasn't great,
but
which made it, a
his
little
concentration
easier.
of going up and getting that ball and staying with it when he was going to the ground is what was amazing about that catch.
A lot of people talk about DeAndre Hopkins and the Texans, which he's having a bad year because Brock Osweiler is terrible.
Yeah, we saw that.
And if Brock was any good, we would talk about DeAndre Hopkins constantly, but people still talk about him. Because of his ability to go up and get the ball and make the play.
Exactly.
Well, A.J. Green plays a similar fashion.
Yes.
He's a tall guy. He can go up and he can get all of those 50-50 balls. But A.J. Green is fast. He is deceivingly fast. He's faster than DeAndre Hopkins is. And so when people talk about their elite wide receivers, a lot of people leave A.J. Green out of that discussion, and it's a giant mistake.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with you there. So... Interesting. So are you agree with those ranking levels on that?
I do. Now, what I don't really see here is how do you have Mike Evans in this top 4 wide receivers discussion?
Did not have his quarterback.
Right. You don't have Jameis up there, but conversely, you have Tom Brady in the top 3 quarterbacks, but you don't have Gronk, in this receiver spot because. You can call Gronk a tight end all you want, but the man plays out wide, so he's a receiver.
That's what I'm saying. I almost pulled up the tight end
just
and flex positions to see, but I think you kind of know that's what Tom Brady's going to hit on.
But if you're looking for a good flex play, I think even though their defense is so stout, look at Melvin Gordon for the Chargers taking on the Broncos this week.
Oh, yeah, he's been solid.
The last time they played the Broncos, he got a lot of yards. He didn't get into the end zone, which has kind of been his calling card this year. After his rookie year, never got in the end zone once last season.
Yeah.
But this year, he has been a machine in the red zone.
Exactly, and I wouldn't sleep on the Chargers and what they're doing. Seriously, they have been in every game.
Oh,
they have fought to the end on a lot of this stuff, and Philip Rivers just keeps playing. I love the way he plays.
In my league with DeMarco Murray and Julio Jones, my other running back is Melvin Gordon.
There you go. Jeez. I bet anybody hates playing you on there.
I also have Le'Veon Bell on a bye week because people slept on him since he was suspended.
Yeah,
I stole him. It was great.
I've got 2 guys on my bench, and I'm waiting to come off a injured reserve. So we'll see. All right, let's get into week 8 pick'em. We got to do our pick'em and stuff. It's time to knock this stuff out. First game, Washington, Cincinnati.
I'm going the Bengals, man. I believe in Andy Dalton and A.J. Green. Giovanni Bernard had a big week last week, as did Jeremy Hill. Both running backs did. This Redskins defense is susceptible to giving up yards against the run.
Yep.
You have Josh Norman, which is nice. He can shut down a wide receiver, but he's going to have a long day ahead of him.
Oh my God, yeah.
Going against A.J. Green, and that's if he covers A.J. Green the whole game.
Yep. He's coming off that concussion,
so
that's going to be interesting. But New England, Buffalo.
Oh, that's Patriots.
After everything we just talked.
Right. I mean, that's Patriots through and through.
Jets and Browns.
The Browns have no wins this year. That is for a reason.
Yeah.
Even though this Jets team is kind of bumbling all over themselves right now, I will still take that Jets team over Cleveland any day.
All right, I have to agree. Detroit Lions, Houston Texans.
A battle of 4-3 versus 4-3. The Lions have one of the league's best offenses with one of the league's worst defenses.
Yeah.
The Texans are just bad. They've lucked up into some wins.
I don't think they're lucking up this weekend.
Right. I think Detroit's going to go on the road to Houston and get the victory.
Yeah, I agree. Kansas City Chiefs, Indianapolis Colts. We just talked about Andrew Luck a minute ago.
Right, and even though I like Andrew Luck, I like T.Y. Hilton, I like Dante Moncrief. This Colts offensive line is terrible.
Yes,
and
they are.
Kansas City has a very impressive front seven. And if that front seven gets pressure on Andrew Luck, it's going to make for a very, very rough day there in Indianapolis. And so I'm taking the Chiefs.
Yeah, I agree. I am too. Oakland Raiders, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I got to go Oakland.
Yeah,
I just think they're just playing. Even the games they haven't played good on, they've managed to keep afloat enough to win these football games.
And Latavius Murray had a huge day last week with 2 touchdowns. Yep. Derek Carr, you can tell each week he's just more and more comfortable.
Exactly.
Of course, Khalil Mack's still a beast. Amari Cooper is going to be one of the top receivers in this league before too long. Oakland Raiders going across the country to Tampa Bay.
We got the Seattle Seahawks at the New Orleans Saints.
I'm uncomfortable with this game. Seattle is the least impressive, was the least impressive 4-1 team I had seen going into last week, and then they ended up in a 6-6 tie with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
So I'm hesitant to take Seattle, but New Orleans' defense is that bad that I think Russell Wilson has the weapons to have a field day against them.
I do too.
Of course, Drew Brees is the one that's going to have a tough time because even though he is a great quarterback, you're going against the Legion of Boom and Richard Sherman. He's a man-child. Earl Thomas, even though he's one of the smallest safeties in the league, that man will knock your lights out.
Oh my goodness!
So I'm actually going to give the edge to Seattle in this one.
So they're going to New Orleans and pulling out the W.
Yes, sir.
You got the Cardinals, the Panthers. That game Sunday night.
It was atrocious.
With Seattle and Arizona.
It was hard to watch.
Wow. I mean, it was just bad. Now, if you love defense, it was pretty good defense. I'm not going to say great because the thing that lost this game was the field goal kickers can't make field goals. And field goal kickers who you thought would normally make field goals, especially for Seattle, is missing field goals.
I mean, you can, and a lot of people will point to that overtime period, but man, you had 60 minutes before overtime to win the game.
Well, and I'm talking about even in that period of it where it was just ugly.
But if it's not for your kickers, you don't even have 6 points.
Well, and
at some point, your offense has to get in the end zone.
Yep, but these teams, their offenses I'm not impressed with. They just are not in sync at all.
Right,
so do we think that they're going to Carolina to get a win on that team whose defense is nothing like it was last year?
Right. Carolina lost pieces. Jared Allen wasn't like a big contributor to that defense last year. but you can tell that his presence is missed. Of course, we all know that Josh Norman's presence is missed.
It is because they were cutting off part of the field, and they're not doing that this year.
Right. Now you're basically relying on Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly.
That's right.
And those two guys play linebacker. They can only do so much.
So do you think Arizona can pull off the win?
Yes, I do.
You think they're going to go to Carolina and pull off that victory?
I mean, there's a reason that David Johnson is projected as the number 1 fantasy back this week. I like David Johnson. I like Larry Fitz. I like John Brown, even though he had some issues with the sickle cell trait last week. He'll probably bounce back. Michael Floyd's had an up-and-down season that's been very inconsistent, and as has Carson Palmer, but at the end of the day, I believe in the talent of the Arizona Cardinals over the lack of talent of the Carolina Panthers.
And I think that Arizona defense is going to shut down that offense because they really have no big weapons outside of Cam. Honestly.
Yeah, if you shut down Cam Newton and you can keep him from getting the ball to Greg Olsen, which is a tough task because Greg Olsen is probably the single most underrated tight end in the NFL. But you can shut down Greg Olsen, you've shut down this Carolina Panthers offense.
Exactly. We talked a little bit about it. San Diego, Denver. It's just hard for me to go against Denver at Mile High, man.
It is, but we've already seen San Diego win this game.
Yeah,
so
they have done it.
But still, that Denver defense is going to be tough, especially when you're playing in the high altitude at Mile High. I'm going to give the edge to the Broncos because, even though we've seen the Chargers in a lot of close, a lot of these losses for the Chargers were in close games going into the fourth quarter or even late in the fourth quarter where they just gave it up. You're going against an all-universe defense here.
Exactly.
And I don't trust in this San Diego team to make the plays to actually put themselves in a position to win it.
All right, let's go Green Bay, Atlanta.
This one's a tricky one just because both secondaries for both teams are bad. Both quarterbacks for both teams are really good. One, the Atlanta Falcons, they have Julio Jones and Mohamed Sanu coupled with Tevin Coleman if he's available and Devontae Freeman.
Exactly.
Whereas the Packers, all their running backs are hurt, but they still have Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, and Devontae Adams. And we've seen the emergence the last 2 seasons of Ty Montgomery. Whether you put him out as a wide receiver or you put him in the backfield as a running back.
Exactly.
These two offenses should put on a show. I think this game will be incredibly high scoring. I'd be surprised if it wasn't a 30-plus point game, for each team. Each team scoring over 30. But I'm going to give the edge at the end of the day to Green Bay to go to Atlanta, get the win. You've got an MVP in Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not playing so well this year and his accuracy is a bit off. But at the end of the day, the man has been an MVP. He's won a Super Bowl. He knows what it takes to get it done, and he can get it done.
Exactly. I'm going to go with Matty Ice at home.
Ooh, Ice, baby.
I'm gonna see if my faith in these guys are justified, and I'm going to take the Falcons. See what happens there. Because if they can get something going on offense and they find a rhythm, they're going to be hard to stop. And then I just think that I'm just not sold on the consistency of Green Bay this year. So we'll see. Philadelphia, Dallas, Sunday Night Football. I'm going Dallas anyway.
Right,
so, really, just because they're my Cowboys. So
outside of having the homer pick here, we've seen what defenses can do to this Eagles team.
Yeah.
We were talking about this last night. The Cowboys don't have a pass rush. We all know that they only have 11 sacks this season, which ranks them 24th in pass rushing defense. But the way they're playing their defense is they're only rushing 3 or they're rushing 4.
Exactly.
And then they're putting, anywhere from 8 to 9 guys back, or not 8 to 9 guys, but 7 to 8 guys back in coverage. And if you, for a rookie quarterback, if you smother all of his targets and he has nowhere to throw the ball, his only option is to run the ball himself. And Carson Wentz has shown that he can do that. He's got some ability to him. He can run. The Cowboys will give up the yards in this game. They will not give up the points.
Exactly. Because they're only giving up 17 points a game.
Right. And so I'm taking Dallas at home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer.
Because we've seen what their offense can do.
With that running game, I don't care how good that defensive line is for
which
Philly.
They are great.
They are, but Dallas has run all over defenses all year, and I don't think this is going to be any different. Des Bryant's coming back. And, I think it's going to be a long night for Philly in this game. Monday Night Football, Minnesota Vikings against the Chicago Bears.
Vikings.
Vikings easy.
Like, that's all that needs to be said.
Yeah.
It's the Bears.
There's
The Bears.
That offense, they're going to be lucky if they score 3 points on Minnesota. I don't see them moving the ball in any way, shape, or form. So I don't think that's going to happen. All right, guys. It's our NFL report this week. Talking good stuff. A lot of interesting things happening. Our pick'ems are in. That's where we stand. Do you agree, disagree? Let us know. Check us out on our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/sportsclash. Check us out on Facebook, Sports Clash Radio, Twitter, Sports Clash Rad. Pop in the comments down at the YouTube page. Anywhere that you can get a hold of us, please do. Send us an email. All our information's around there.
Share us, like us.
Yeah, get the word out. Help us start promoting this thing and really getting it out there. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Can't wait to hear from you. Thanks for following us on Facebook Live when we did that earlier in the night tonight. It's kind of fun there. And you can follow us on Facebook under Chad Martin, under John Christopher Martin, I believe is what you're doing, something like that. You'll see these mugs. Just get close.
I have a weird name.
Yeah, so
look it up. My parents.
Yeah, it was. So anyway, guys, we appreciate it. We're out of here.